Hey everybody, happy Friday. Klotz-Guest here. And I want to answer a question that I get a lot. And that question is, drum roll, how do I use more humor in my communications and in my marketing? And maybe your LinkedIn, your personal brand, whatever. And, you know, I think there's a fear out there that if we use more humor, it'll backfire. It's too risky. It's scary. I'm not a comic. I'm not a comedian. I've heard it all. And here's the thing I want you to know. You can do it. It is possible. And it doesn't have to be risky. Even oxygen has a 94% approval rating. And it's not perfect, because if you stick it with carbon monoxide and you light a match, it's not perfect. It doesn't end well. So here's the thing. I'm going to give you a couple tips. I'm going to give you 3 tips. I want you to remember conveniently the acronym TIP, TIP. Because there's so many ways to add humor, but I just want to talk about 3. And I want you to know that you've got this. You can do this because you're a storyteller. And a lot of it's the power of observation and being experimental and just going with it. So let's just talk about a couple of ways to do it, because I know you got this. You got this. The first, T. All right, what does that mean? Truth. T for truth. So business storytelling is like any other storytelling out there. It's no different. Business communications, it's all about the truth. Well, comedy is all about the truth. What makes things funny? Because they're true. And we all have truths in our lives that when we tell our truth and we're honest about it, connect with other people, because we're not meant to be perfect. As Jane Fonda says, we are meant to be whole. And when we share our imperfections with other people, of course, that's relatable. So start with the truth of either something that is true about your life that you want to connect on, maybe about having kids or being an entrepreneur and the entrepreneurial journey. Everybody thinks being an entrepreneur is glamorous. It's not. Sometimes people think being a speaker is glamorous. It's really not. By the time you've been at a conference for the 4th day and you just feel like walking around in your bathrobe with a coffee mug, you don't even bother getting dressed to go out in the show floor because it's exhausting. Talk about those truths. Talk about the truth that your customer faces. Your customer has real truths about their pain points, and you're not poking fun at their pain points at all. Rather, you're saying, hey, we get this. We get you. Here's your pain points, and we understand you. Zoom does a really great job. If you look at Zoom, the conference software company, and look at their commercials, some of them are hilarious because we all hate conference calls. We all hate it. I mean, how many times do we get on a conference call and 10 minutes later, there's the person that comes in and, yeah, I'm here for the conference call. And can everybody get me up to speed? No, we've moved on. Or the person that forgets to mute their phone and is talking to their baby or their dog. Who's a good doggy? Who's a sweet boy? Or the kids crying in the background, mommy, wipe my butt. And it happens, and we're laughing because it's true. We all hate it. And Zoom recognizes that that's a truth, and that's a challenge for their audience. So when you take that truth and you own it and you heighten it and just take it to a crazy place, how far can you extend this conference call thing? Well, what if people showed up and didn't wear pants? What if people were talking in scratchy voices? Because it kind of happens, sometimes people cut in and out of calls. What if we could hear the dog in the background, the baby in the background? What if there's the people that get on 20 minutes later? Hello, is this thing on? Well, all the common pet peeves that we all recognize as true and laugh. So take the truth of what you feel or what your audience feels and heighten it. Just completely take it. It's said that the comedy is the truth on steroids, and I think it is. And Charna Halpern, who with Del Close kind of pioneered the Herald, which is an improv format, wrote a wonderful book called Truth in Comedy that I think should be required business reading, because the truth is the cornerstone of comedy. It all comes from that. So that's truth. The second part of TIP, the acronym TIP, is incongruity. Some people might call it juxtaposition. It's the mashup idea. When two things seemingly don't go together, maybe we should try to put them together. How crazy would that be? How crazy would it be? So, what if you took your product and you put it in the hands of kindergartners? What would they think it does? What would that look like? Maybe video that. That could be pretty hilarious because kids say the darndest things. They do. Well, LinkedIn tried this, and I talked with LinkedIn a few years ago about this tip. And what they did is they ended up having some of their own people, their employees, go to their kids and having their kids read their resumes, their LinkedIn profiles. And it was hilarious because kids were like, what the hell is this? What does this even mean? Dad, what is it? What is this? And, it was hysterical. But there's a simple truth there. We talk in jargon. Kids will just call BS for what it is, and they'll hold you accountable for that. And it was really hilarious. So you can think about sort of juxtaposition that way. Take two things that maybe don't belong together, put them together. Put something in a situation like a fish out of water. It's a comedic device where we put something in an environment and see how it does. Because it shouldn't go together, or does it? Because sometimes it can make for some amazing, amazing stuff and amazing comedy. Now, finally, the third letter in TIP, our acronym TIP, is playfulness. Humor is not just jokes. Humor is how we show up in the world. It's a lightness of being. It's our attitude, how we project. And we've all had bad moments. We've all had moments where we just don't feel playful. It happens to the best of us because we're human. But when we are playful, great things can happen. Sometimes just doing something unexpected that delights your audience is great. Maybe a coloring book that you download. Maybe a comic book, maybe badges, colorful badges. Maybe you start a story out there and ask your audience to finish it. Maybe you create collaborative opportunities with your audience or with your employees. So there's so many ways to show up and be playful and delight. So that acronym again, TIP, truth, incongruity, or juxtaposition as it's known. And finally, P for playfulness. Truth, incongruity, and playfulness. Now, there's many more techniques under the comedy umbrella, but that's just a few. And I think everybody's capable. You are capable. As Dr. Seuss said, there's no one youer than you. And your story and your voice matters. And it is Dr. Seuss Day. So go out there and play. Try different things. See what works. And then when you try something small and see what works, you can double down on that as a tactic. But just small little things can move the needle. It doesn't have to be this big, big thing. So go out and play, have fun. And if you need more resources, go to keepingithuman.com. I've got resources for you. Of course, I've got books and all that stuff, but you can find quite a few resources also on my website. All right, everybody, I'm Kathy Klotz-Guest, keeping it human, so you do too. All right, until next time, take care.